does it really work? How does it operate? Is it really possible for the government to be speaking or to have spoken to anyone, any member of that particular group?
I think it is. I think it is, again, you know, I think it is disingenuous for security agencies to say they don't know these people. Over 1,000 Boko Haram operatives are in the custody of the SSS here in Abuja. We know that. They have been interrogating them, which may include torture and all that, as Mr. Othman pointed out. Is the government saying that after 2 or 3 years of confronting this issue, they have no better information than you and I have? I've been in government and I know that the government has a lot of information. What is lacking, Suleiman, is the will to address this issue. I think the government just wants this to continue because it is profitable for the security agencies to have huge budgets, most of which is stolen. I think they can do better. And, you know, another issue that came up repeatedly in the course of this insurgency is the fact that the government says it wants help. It wants people to help them talk to Boko Haram and so on. And whenever anyone, from the Sultan of Sokoto to the Borno elders to any one of us, makes the suggestion that, look, come to the table to discuss with these people. You attacked a Boko Haram sympathizer, and all kinds of attacks are thrown at you by the government and its surrogates, and it doesn't help matters. I think the government can do better. It's an incompetent government, we all know, yes, but the institutions, the public servants within the government know what to do, but the political masters, I believe, are not listening. The government should do better. They must do better. Otherwise, they are throwing the whole country into crisis. This is not a problem in the northeast or northwest or the north alone. This is a national problem which would threaten the unity of this country if it is allowed to continue to fester.
I don't know on what grounds that you say incompetent government, because this is a social matter and you can't make categorical statements because you have people who will always disagree with that notion. And by the way, are you suggesting that Boko Haram began with this government?
No, Boko Haram began in 2009 under the Yar'Adua regime. But I still say this without any apologies, without any hint of contradiction. This is an incompetent government, the most incompetent government I have seen in my lifetime, and I'm 53 years old. I say that, and I can prove it. There are many things to indicate that. But coming back to the issue of security that we are talking about, the government has shown no capacity, other than vote big budgets for security. They have shown no capacity to address the problem.
So if you are to provide solutions to some of these matters, since you say some of the elders from the north and some of the traditional rulers have actually proposed solution, which the government, you say, have not taken, and some have tagged some of them or some of you as a Boko Haram apologist. What would you be saying at this point in time as a way of proffering solution to this imbroglio?
I think the first step is for the government to change its narrative, to change its thinking, to accept that this is a national problem. It is not affecting one part of the country, and that part should be allowed to die. Okay, that's one. Secondly, the government should have an open mind to exploring every solution. If the Sultan of Sokoto speaks, I think people should take what he says with a little bit more seriousness than being dismissive. When the Borno elders, including people that were ministers when President Jonathan was wearing napkin, people like that should be listened to. And whatever they suggest should be explored. I'm not saying that whatever they say should be accepted, but the government, with the intelligence it has, with the institutions it has, should take these suggestions with some level of seriousness, not dismissiveness, and explore every option. And as I said, there is nowhere in history where an insurgency of this nature has been defeated using military force alone. If there is, please let me see. Let me have the history. It has never been done.
What
so
role
you must
do you
begin with the attitude that you need a carrot and stick approach, and every suggestion, particularly from community leaders, should be taken seriously. If the community leaders need to be more involved than they have been, let it be so. But we must solve this problem. It is a Nigerian problem. People are dying everywhere. People are getting killed. And we're getting to a point that nobody believes government's claims anymore when it says it has killed this or that. Hundreds of people have been arrested without bringing them to trial so that we know what's going on. These are all confidence issues. And unless we learn to build confidence in our institutions and in our government, you know, this problem is not going to go away. It will just get worse and spread further and further and consume all of us.
What role do you think the state governors can play, the northern governors, in this matter?
I think the state governments have a role, okay, in the sense that the root of this problem, in my opinion, has to do with bad governance, okay? And more than half of the issues related to bad governance is within the purview of the state government. I think governors in many parts of Nigeria, particularly the north, have failed to discharge their basic responsibilities. This is an issue. It has built up over the years and led us where we are. Okay, but having said that, I want to say that security is a federal problem. The Constitution vests all security powers, the control of all coercive instruments in the federal government. The state governor has little or no control over the conduct of security agencies. And that is why, primarily, this Boko Haram challenge is a federal problem. The governors can't do the investments in education, in health, in agriculture, in infrastructure that are needed in the long term to eliminate the poverty and the inequality that may have exacerbated this problem. But it is a federal problem largely.
Don't you think that that perception needs to change? Where people think that security boils down to either police, the military, or the Air Force. What if governments across the state cannot ensure the economy is functioning, provide jobs, food security? These are all fundamental issues before we talk about police, don't you think?
I agree. But you see, there must be a distinction between short-term, immediate issues and long-term investment issues, okay? If you invest in education, you don't see the results until after 30 years, okay? If you invest in healthcare, the results take a little longer to show. Now, we have a problem now which arose from years of bad governance and underinvestments in education, infrastructure, and so on. The thing is, let's not confuse the two. We have an immediate security problem. It is a clear and present danger to the Nigerian state. That has to be addressed by the federal government. It is a federal problem. The states can assist and support, and many of them are putting lots of resources, their security votes, to supporting the operations of JTF and so on. That can be done, okay? But it has to be addressed now, okay? Meanwhile, the state governments need to realize that for long-term security in their states, they need to up investments in education, in healthcare, in agriculture, and job creation. But the two are not the same problem in a timeline. There is something that needs to be addressed now, and there is something that needs to be invested in for the future.
Well, you've been in government before, and, well, quite a fantastic moment you had, even when we go through your books and some of the comments from you. How does it really work? How does it operate? Is it really possible for the government to be speaking or to have spoken to anyone, any member of that particular group?
I think it is. I think it is, again, you know, I think it is disingenuous for security agents